spinning. I don't know what's it. I am super excited to be here with Sir James Hamilton, and we don't have a monarchy here in America, but he is certainly a knight of the royal court when it comes to executive protection, and a guy that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. Former senior vice president of Gavin DeBecker and Associates. Now he's got his own firm, which he does also, consult for and work for Gavin, but he does his own thing now. We're going to talk about that. James, I am happy and excited to be here. You are my friend and a professional, and I love the fact that we're going to be able to talk about whatever we're going to talk about for the next 20 minutes or so. So thanks for joining me today.
Grateful, Michael. Thanks so much. Great to see you.
Now, do you want to kind of explain your new path since retiring from Gavin DeBecker?
Thanks. I created the Hamilton Security Group to empower people. That's my passion, is teaching regular people how to survive these kind of violent situations that I'm all too familiar with. And I spent most of my life protecting high net worth individuals and government officials. And I just really feel a passion to bring it to the people, if you will. And so that's kind of what I'm doing and what I really enjoy doing and I'm super passionate about. So thank you for letting me say that.
Yeah, you and I definitely share that. And just for purposes of history and background, you were with the Federal Bureau of Investigations. You were with the FBI. And you, instead of going career like many, and by the way, side note, I'm not sure if I ever noticed this with or discussed this or told you this, but I knew an FBI agent, not a friend, somebody that worked for me, somebody that does not work for me anymore, no names, stated, oh man, he must have gotten fired. Nobody leaves the FBI, because that's such a great job and great pension and blah, 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 blah. So he starts checking around with his buddies that are still with the Bureau, and they go, no, James just got offered a really, really good job doing something in the private sector that he thought he would be happier doing. So he definitely didn't get fired. He left because he wanted to do something that was more fulfilling for a whole lot more money. I got to tell you, I got a lot of respect for that. I think that's pretty cool. That a lot of guys, maybe me included, if I was a public, servant that way, I'm not sure I would have had the cojones to say goodbye safety and security of my government job. I'm going to do something fulfilling that happens to also make me more money. So that is one of the many reasons why I have a lot of respect for you. Now, you and I align so dramatically with our purpose. You use the exact same word I use. That's empowerment. You and I, after a lifetime in service and executive protection investigations, what fulfills you, based on our conversation, is empowering people to basically help themselves survive violent situations. Is that a good way to frame that?
1,000,000%. That's my ethos. If you cut me open, that's what you'd find.
Okay. Then you and I are absolutely cut from the same cloth. That's why after my career, I was literally burnt out to the point of ashes, and I created the Alive program. And that is what inspired me to keep going and lit a new fire under my butt, which it appears is exactly what you've done with your new consulting. Now, let's chat a little bit. In these, I like to talk about one industry-related thing and then one personal thing. The industry-related thing I'd like to talk about is the active shooter problem, situation, circumstance, freaking disease we have. Let's talk about that a little bit. And you started to tell me your thoughts, and I stopped you because I wanted to do this live. Just kind of broad view. Tell me what James Hamilton has to say about this active shooter epidemic we're dealing with.
That our current plan is no plan. That our country lacks a comprehensive plan to stop this. Very little has actually changed since Columbine. And I'm very, very frustrated by it. I'm very frustrated by the fact that we as a government have not decided that, that's a prohibitive environment. Meaning, okay, that environment, you're not going to get a gun in there. I mean, what's what we did after 9/11? I was part of that after 9/11. I was involved in the Joint Terrorism Task Force at the FBI. I know exactly what happened when we hardened every cockpit of every plane that takes off from an American airport or lands in one. I know exactly what we did because we said this will never happen again. I just wish to God our government would say, I'm tired of burying children, but we don't do that. We keep, coming up with, little things here or there. And my favorite, of course, is, well, let's just put a gun there. Let's arm the teachers. And I get very, very frustrated with that because that's, not a comprehensive plan. That's part, a weapon is part of a plan, but it's not the plan. There were many guns in Uvalde. There were many guns at Parkland, but they didn't stop anything. So I'm very passionate about bad guidance because I see it a lot. That's one of the reasons why I started my firm, is so I could give good guidance to people, good guidance earned over 30 years of doing this exact work. And I get very frustrated by it, Michael. I'm tired of burying children, period.
Yeah. Boy, I mean, that doesn't hit the heartstrings. Nothing hits the heartstrings more than what you just said. I'm tired of burying children. So we know it doesn't work. What's going to fix our problem, James?
I think we have to get to a point where we say, it's not about the gun, it's about the behavior, and we hold people accountable for the behavior. And you're starting to see a little bit about this. I saw it in Michigan where the parents were charged. I think we're getting closer, because if you ask your listeners right now, okay, what is what's the penalty for active shooter in a school? What's the penalty, right? There is no specific and consistent answer. Depending on the state, depending on where you were, you might get life, you might get 20 years, you might get, I don't know what. But we need to have a consistent, no crap answer for that. That's not just like hard, but absolutely brutal, meaning it's so extreme. You're not just life in prison, but your family. Like, if I can prove, Michael, that the dad was complicit, that he was involved, that he gave the kid the gun. Can I take your 401k? Can I take your house? Like, let's get really serious about this. Let's give the parents a vested interest to pay attention to what's going on with Johnny behind the door, right? Like, that's the type of stuff I'd like to see. And I think it needs to be an extreme response.
Yeah, that is thinking and digging deeper than I think we typically do. But if you think about it, that just simply goes back to the whole family values and family unit, and parents being responsible for teaching their children's values and ethics and morals, that a lot of the times we just go, okay, well, we've sent our kid off to school. The teachers and the school district will handle that. And it ain't getting done at school. That's for damn sure. Would you agree?
1,000,000%. And then the other thing is just, it's a good mentor, friend of mine, Jeff Marquardt, he said to me one time, everything comes down to minutes and miles, right? Everything. And so in the EP business, the executive protection, and in real security, it comes down to, time and distance. So if you have one officer at a, very, very large high school, middle school, a very large, campus, okay, unless they just happen to be right where the shooter is, that is not the plan, because it's going to take forever to get to wherever this person is. But if you, design correctly, like in Israel, for instance, you go over there and see how they do their schools, one way in, one way out. And now we're positioned effectively, meaning the kinetic response, the person with the gun is right there at the entrance. Okay, now you're going to get somewhere. Now we're starting to get somewhere, right? And just, okay, Mike, real quick, clear backpacks and tuck your damn shirt in. How about that? Can you do that? Clear backpacks, tuck your shirt in. Okay, I promise you I can cut down on how many guns get into school just by doing those two things.
Yeah. Well, of course, playing devil's advocate, how long will it be until parents go, well, don't tell me, you can't tell my kid to tuck your shirt in,
I absolutely can. And I absolutely do. I absolutely tell your kid a lot of things when they come to school. And we have to get to the point where public safety is more important than individuals' safety or individual, I don't want to get, do that type of thing, which makes sense to do to stop getting the weapon inside the school.
Okay. Now, based on what you just said, let me deviate, but stay on the same path. I agree with you. And I agree that, the rules have to be stern and tough and black or white. There's not a lot of gray in what we should be dealing with when we're talking about the lives of kids. What I have been faced with lately is these potential clients, these corporate, the soft corporate mentality clients saying, well, your program seems great, except we don't like that there's the word violence in the acronym. We don't like that you teach people to fight back. We don't like that you say if it's between you and them, you may have to kill or be killed. You're going to choose to kill. And they want me to soften my program and dilute it and make sure that I don't say anything that, offends anybody. We're talking about life or death and the reality of this situation. And when I had a Silicon Valley client say, we don't allow violence in our culture, Silicon Valley now, I said, well, you know what? YouTube didn't either. But when that lady drove across the country and shot and tried to kill so many of those employees, somebody brought violence to their doorstep and they weren't prepared. So I'm with you 100%. And as far as it being tough love, suck it up, Buttercup. Too bad that you don't like the idea of having to kill somebody. But look, if you've got two options, it's die or kill. I think we're going to choose kill, right? If you make it that rational and that straightforward, it's hard for anybody to choose the other one. And I think that along the lines of just tough love and saying, sorry, parents, and sorry, kids, this is the rules, and that's got to be followed. If you don't like it, find another school.
Right.
So, all right. Well, so now you and I are, the active, and you and I use the exact same word, empowerment. We are, what drives us is the idea and the concept, the theory and the desire to empower people. Not empower them, not give them a fish. We want to empower them to be powerful, teach them to fish so that they can be powerful on their own without us all the time, and spread that kind of empowerment to the people they care about. So that is something that I love that you and I both, we have such very similar mindsets. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, what's it going to take to get James Hamilton to become a certified Alive instructor? That might be a tough one since you've got your own program. And by the way, you created, if I'm not mistaken, and was in charge of the entire active shooter training program for Gavin DeBecker while you were there, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Good. Well, like I told you before, even though you and I are doing the same thing with the same target client, we are absolutely in no way competitors because we're on the same team, and that's to help save people's lives. And as far as I'm concerned, there will never be any kind of competition between us because we both want the same thing.
No, that's right. And there's a lot of people out there who need good guidance, so I'm not really concerned, about any type of competition. But I do think it's great that we're on the same page with regards to that, and that we both understand that, the brain's the weapon, and that if we can help people understand that and that they are capable, I think that's, that to me is the whole point. And I think, unfortunately, in this country for the last 50 years, we basically have subcontracted our own personal security to law enforcement. We basically told, citizens, just call 911 if you're in trouble. And I just think that's bad. There's nothing wrong with calling the police. I was a cop. I mean, it's fine to do. But that can't be the only plan, man. That can't be it. You got to have something else, like stay away from it. Listen to your intuition, right? Yeah. And just real quick on what you mentioned about, kind of that soft language. I've heard those things. And I also tell those same corporations about, the fight piece. The reasonable standard has been set by the U.S. government. The U.S. government, through Department of Homeland Security, has said run, hide, fight is the national strategy. So that's the reasonable standard. When a company wants to say, well, okay, we won't do the fight part, I tell them, I'm not a lawyer, but I've been around a lot of lawyers, and I do have a college degree, and I've been in federal court. The lawyers will tell you that you are not being reasonable now. If you are taking away that option that has already been deemed appropriate and reasonable by the federal government, you're going to have a real problem on your hands if you're telling your employees they cannot fight. So I would tell you, you can use that one.
I thank you for that. I hadn't thought about that, but what a great comeback or response to that. Its bottom line is the government has decided that this is the standard and this is acceptable and this was what should be taught. Yep. And you're saying, no, we're not going to do that. Imagine what a plaintiff's attorney for the families of 13 dead people would say in a court of law when they've got a, $100 million negligence lawsuit against a school or a company when they should have been teaching fight, but did not. So, yeah. And that's what we got to do is we got to hit the purse strings to get them to listen. We got to say, you're going to lose money if you don't do it the right way. Otherwise, I don't think they're going to listen.
And in a commonsensical way too, right? Like I won't call it, I've had companies ask me to call it active intruder training, and I won't do it because we know for a fact that sometimes it's an employee. And so if you're doing training, tell employees, hey, it's active intruder. Well, then they start to basically discount John from accounting. When John from accounting starts making threats and talking about bringing a gun to work to kill everybody, and you're sitting there saying, oh no, it's active intruder, meaning it's a stranger. Well, you literally have just given bad guidance to employees, and I won't do it. I just say no.
Yeah. And as far as terminology, I used to only refer to it as active shooter. And then Dave Grossman got on my ass about it because he says not all active killers are shooters. So now I use active assailant, active killer, active shooter. I have one little last thing on the active shooter side of the conversation. I have a theory. Now, my theory starts with the fact that all these people are doing it based on trying to gain or regain power and control in their lives because they have none. That's, I think, the reason why they kill themselves. They would rather leave this mortal world under their own power and control than be taken into custody or killed by somebody else. Along those lines, I believe the solution is twofold. One, it's going to be hardening targets. Okay. We got to harden targets. We got to make it harder for them to get in to do the damage. And the other, well, three really. And the other, actually, let's back up and go to the very first thing. We have got to teach, and this goes to your point, we have got to teach coping skills to our children at a very young age so that they understand that if you're feeling marginalized and picked on and bullied and like crap and full of teenage hormones, instead of deciding to go do some heinous act like this, you join a gym, you join the chess club, you take up tennis, you do something to get out all that negative energy that is eating you up inside instead of doing something like that. So that is going to be, that's the psychological side, teaching coping skills. So that's, that's avoidance or, making it so that that never happens. But then training like you and I do. Bottom line is, no matter how hard we make a target, if somebody gets inside, now it's up to, like you said, the real first responders, the ones that are actually there in the middle of the situation when it's happening, because when seconds count, law enforcement's only minutes away. Nothing against them. I love law enforcement. It's just a fact of life. It's hard. They can't get there immediately. So I think if we just train people to respond appropriately, and once we do all of those things, the less and less this happens, or the more often these things are thwarted, or the killer is stopped so quickly that they not only don't get to do what they want to do, which is kill people and spread fear and feel power and control, but now they're an absolute failure. Future active shooters, active killers, I believe, will look at the track record and go, you know what? Those guys don't get the notoriety they used to because they're failing time and time again because people know what to do and they're either killing or disarming the assailant. I don't think that's a viable choice for me. Maybe I will join a gym. Maybe I will join the chess club. So that is my own personal theory on how I think the trajectory of this will change. I hope to God that we both get to see that in our lifetime.
Amen to that.
So thanks for talking about that with me. Now, I also like to talk about things non-industry related on a personal side. Tell me what James Hamilton is passionate about. What and I'm not going to ask you. Yeah, well, how old are you, James?
I'm 54.
Oh God, I'm 55. You're younger than I am. Man, everybody's younger than me, I swear. What is it that inspires James Hamilton to get up in the morning and go, I'm going to do this, and it's going to give me fulfillment and gratification and contentment?
My faith is the first thing. I mean, that's it begins and ends there. And then the ability, I know he brought me through for a reason. I shouldn't be here, just all the things that have happened in my life. And I know I was brought through to do something with it. And I think that's to empower people to do, what needs to be done. And it really, the other thing I like to do is mentor. I like to mentor young, people in the industry, mostly law enforcement, security. I like doing that because I think I can help them maybe make some mistakes maybe that I've made. There's a certain degree of internal reflection that I think needs to be done. I wrote an article recently about, are you still you? You really got to know who the hell you are. And the sooner they can know that, I think the better they are as a human being. I think a lot of people, like the people you were mentioning who shoot schools up, they don't know who the hell they are. They don't know why they do what they do because, they've listened to the wrong thing, basically. And yeah, that's a big piece for me is really getting up every day and just trying to make my place better. Well, whoever I touch, my community and the people around me, make it better. But I will tell you on a personal level that I have a fear that I don't know if I've shared publicly. I'll just tell you straight up. My fear is that I'm not formidable anymore, right? Being formidable, meaning people look at me and I want them to make sure that they look at me and go, I don't want to mess with that dude. Right. That's one of my biggest fears. So I do stay in shape and take care of myself because I don't want people to think, okay, that guy over there, I can take that dude. I can take his stuff. That's super important to me also, is to maintain that formidability, if you will.
Yeah. Jordan Peterson has something to say about that. Do you follow Jordan?
I do a little bit, yeah.
And he talks about you should be dangerous. And in the interview with John Stossel, he says, "Wait, you should be able to hurt people. You should be dangerous." And he says, "Yes, you should be capable of being dangerous and of hurting people. The difference is you decide when to do that, and you only do it when it's appropriate and necessary." So, to your point, I completely get that.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to that word, and I think there's a lot of people who are dangerous, but for the wrong reasons. Meaning, the government or their agency has empowered them with authorities and a weapon, and they're more dangerous, to us than the criminals are, because they actually think they know what the hell they're doing, and that to me is very, very concerning. And we can talk an awful lot about that topic.
Yeah. You just said something that opened up a whole nother lane of traffic that I want to jump in with you, but we can't do it today because we're kind of getting towards the end. I'm going to ask you right now and get you to commit. Can we do this again and talk another? Okay. You said something about you're still here. He still got you here after the things you've been through. Now, you told me you are willing, and we're not going to get into it now. You told me you're willing to go as deep personally as I want to go. So kudos and awesome and full respect for that. And now you made that statement, which kind of resonated with me because I've, in my lifetime, I've seen a few things that made me wonder if I'm supposed to still be here and alive and successful. I'm hoping that you and I can jump into that in another conversation because I'd love to go deep with you. And in fact, I just saw that Jared Van Dresch is on watching us. And Jared recently went public with his childhood and the horrors that he dealt with that. Now he's got a full-blown movie script and or whatever it's called that they're working on in Hollywood. I don't know what kind of trauma or drama you've dealt with, but you made that statement. And so now I want to delve into that in another conversation at a later date, if you're comfortable with that.
1,000,000%. I would just real quick on that. I would tell you that most people that find themselves in our space, and hello, Jared, most people that find themselves in our space have some type of childhood trauma. Okay. Like that. I know that for a fact. I know, like, if you read Gift of Fear, you know what Gavin went through. I know what I went through. I know when I was teaching the FBI close protection school, I would ask those agents, why do you get in protection? Because I thought they probably went through some type of trauma where they couldn't protect their mom or something like that. And that's exactly what I heard time and time and time again. Not to say that somebody that came from, Lever to Beaver can't be in this business. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that a lot of people with some trauma, find themselves in the military, in security, in law enforcement. Right. And what I really hope is that those folks understand and get some treatment and get some help with regards to the trauma that they, kind of haven't really dealt with. Because, once you can deal with it, man, I tell you, your whole life changes.
I couldn't agree with you more. And without getting into it, I can fully relate. I have the same type of stories from my childhood. And if it wasn't for me just being sick of feeling shitty, frankly, and wanting to do some self-awareness and self-help, I probably would not be where I'm at. So that's great that you tell agents and other people that, because it will sometimes the only people that they would listen to is somebody like you who has been through it and elevated to the level in life and success and prosperity that you have. So that's super powerful. And again, that goes back to your passion is helping people. Yeah. Which you're a man of service. And if you think about it, a true EP agent, we serve, we're servers. We take care of our principals. So we are people of service, professionals and personally, which clearly you are. And I totally respect that.
Thank you, brother.
James. Is that a yes? You're going to jump back on and we can talk more later?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to schedule another one of these, and we're going to get into some deep stuff. And I'm actually looking forward to that. Now, I just did one with Christian West, and Christian and I are best friends. So we talk all the time about all kinds of stuff like that. I'm going to do the same thing with him. I think this will be really good for the badass, big ego, tough guy, ninja killer, EP agents out there that are always standing there like this, stoic and, on duty, to know that it's okay to be human. It's okay to be compassionate. It's okay to be sensitive. It's okay to have shit in your life, frankly, that sucks. And it's okay to be vulnerable, which, let's face it, guys, in our world, that's not something that we allow. We got that armor because we have to be strong for everybody and I've taught on this many times, we got to be strong for ourselves first to be capable of being strong for other people, right?
Well, thank God you know that. A lot of folks kind of spend a lot of their time trying to figure that one out. And I would just speak quickly to that look of, like come get some, or that, that gruff appearance. And I would just say that a lot of times folks, maybe they came from a unit or, something in the military or law enforcement where, that worked for them. And, they get into EP, and as you know, there's not a whole hell of a lot of training, and they just kind of keep doing it, right? Because that's really all they know. And I like to say oftentimes that I really haven't ever met a protector that set out to fail, right? Like, I don't know, even though we can show videos all the time, protector fail, but what I know is I don't think humans set out to go screw up. I don't think they set out to go hurt somebody or do a bad job. I just think that they're not trained properly or they're not educated. And I think that's a lot of it. I think the business, a lot of people in our business are like that. They haven't got a lot of training, and they're big and they're kind of mean looking. So they just use it, and that's a technique, I would say. It's maybe not what I do, but
yeah, it's a tech, but like with every tool in your toolbox, you pull out the appropriate tool for the job. Yeah. And it is absolutely appropriate to be a big, bad, scary bodyguard sometimes because you're trying to get a certain effect or outcome.
Yep.
But man, if you don't know when to put that away, you're going to stand in your own way. You're going to hurt yourself. Other people are going to look at you and go, this guy has no depth, or gal. I'm certainly not leaving women out of it, because women in EP are vitally important, necessary, more times than men a lot of the time. But they don't have the layers. So they don't have the maturity, the sophistication that really goes with somebody that you want to have around you, protecting you.
So you're inviting attention when you don't want any. That's the reality. You're trying to be the gray and just move from point A to point B and very discreetly, and you're not going to be able to do that if that's your whole thing and you're inviting contact. I've worked with people like that, not for long. I've actually got rid of them. I just won't tolerate it.
Good. I love it. Good. Listen, where do people find James Hamilton if they want to hire the James Hamilton to protect them or consult with them or teach them something?
Yeah, go to the website, hamiltonsecuritygroup.com. Reach out for me on LinkedIn. I also have a series called Safety Seconds on YouTube. They're like short 60-second vignettes on situational awareness, self-awareness, using the environment, what to do, when, if, like those types of things that kind of keep people can just watch real quick. And reach out to me. I'd love to help you have a conversation.
I just subscribed to your YouTube channel.
Thank you, man.
You betcha. Listen, besides the fact that I respect you tremendously as a colleague and peer, and industry leader in the industry that I'm been in my whole adult life, I respect and appreciate your friendship more than anything. So thank you for being on this discussion with me. I cannot wait to peel back more layers of James Hamilton and get into a conversation that most EP agents would probably, or EP agents, most guys in the security industry like us, typically it would not be super comfortable or something we'd be excited or happy to do. But I think based on our conversation, it might be, not only do I know it's good for me to talk to someone like you about the shit I've been through, I think it would be great for other people to see and hear. So they go, wow, okay, I'm not the only guy dealing with this kind of crap, or look what some people have achieved after going through the type of stuff we've gone through. And that goes back to your and my desire to empower people to be happy and healthy, right?
That's right. I really appreciate that. And I look forward to it. Thank you, man.
Right.
Great being with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
All right, sir. Be safe, everybody. Thanks.
All right, buddy.